Are you a truck driver that just so happens to find themselves wrestling with the landing gear for half an hour? You might be a truck driver that's struggling to crank the landing gear right now as we speak, and that's probably why you came across this video. Well, you clicked on the right one. So today I'm going to be explaining to you guys how the landing gear actually works, and I'm only making this video because there's not really that many videos explaining how the landing gear works. Like, it's crazy. It really is. And I remember my rookie year always struggling with the landing gear, and I had to find out the hard way how the landing gear actually worked. So I'm going to explain to you guys in this video the tips and the tricks and the things that they didn't teach you in CDL school. Well, I don't know, they probably did teach it to you in CDL school, but I wasn't taught this in CDL school, so I'm going to teach it to you guys right now. Okay guys, so the thing you need to know about the landing gear is that the landing gear actually has two different gears. It has a high gear and it has a low gear. So I'm going to show you guys both of the gears right now. And I felt like this would be the perfect trailer to do it with, because this landing gear is kind of tough, and this is also a heavy load. I just dropped this off at a Home Depot. Okay, now what low gear is low gear is when you push the landing gear handle, you push it in, but you don't push it all the way. Okay, so this piece right here, it goes in. Okay, when you push it in all the way, that's high gear. Okay, that's high gear right there. So when I pull it out, all right, it's back in the regular position. So when I push it in, but this piece right here, if it doesn't go in, that's considered low gear. So what you would need, what you use low gear for, is whenever there's times when your trailer is too low and you need to lift the trailer up just to get your fifth wheel underneath the trailer in order to hook up to the trailer. You would go into low gear, right, and you would crank the handle all the way to the right. Okay, you might be asking me, how do you know that? How do I know for sure that I'm in low gear? Okay, so with low gear, it's a lot easier to crank the handle. Okay, it's a lot easier to crank it. You see all that? You see how easy it is for me to move it? That's how I know that I'm in low gear. High gear, I'll push it in all the way, and notice how harder it is for me to crank it. Hold on, it's not even in it. Hold on. Now it's in it. See how hard? See how much harder it is for me to crank it? It's not as free. But you use high gear when you actually want to lower and raise the land, like the leg of the landing gear. That's when you use high gear. You go into low gear when you want to raise the trailer up when it's too low. That's when you go into low gear. You also go into low gear whenever you find yourself stuck because your fifth wheel ends up behind the kingpin, because that happens sometimes. And to prevent that, what you want to do is when you're backing to the trailer to hook up, you want to make sure that you're paying attention to your front, these two front wheels. In order to prevent yourself from getting your fifth wheel stuck behind the kingpin, right? When you're backing into a trailer, you want to pay attention. I said the front two tires earlier, but you actually want to pay attention to the back two. And you want to, if you can see it in the mirror, once the trailer is like, once the front of the trailer gets in between the middle of your tires, like once it cuts in between the middle of them, you want to stop, right? You can see it in the mirror, you'll see it. You want to stop, get out. See what I mean? How it's, you know, in the middle, like that. Once it splits it, you get out and you look. You want to stop and you want to get out and look to make sure that there is zero space between your fifth wheel and the trailer. if you see any kind of daylight or any kind of space between your fifth wheel and the trailer, that means you have to lower the trailer. Okay? That means the trailer's too high. So in that case, you would go into high gear and you would crank the trailer to the left, or you would crank the handle to the left to lower it. Okay? So remember, when you wanna raise the trailer, you crank the handle to the right in low gear. When you want to lower the trailer, you want to crank the handle in high gear to the left. Also, a quick thing is something that might be confusing is when you're raising the landing gear leg, you're actually lowering the trailer. When you're lowering the landing gear leg, you're actually raising the trailer, if that makes any sense. So I'm going to show you guys once again. Okay, show you guys once again so you guys get a better idea. Okay, because sometimes a lot of new drivers might find themselves in a situation where they think that the landing gear is stuck, but actually you just have to put it into low gear. Okay, so remember what I said, guys. Low gear is you push it in, you push it. I had to pull it all the way out. Low gear is when you push it in, but not all the way. Okay, the key thing that you have to pay attention to is this part right here. So you see how it didn't go in? That means I'm in low gear. So notice how when I push it in all the way, it actually goes in. So that means I'm in high gear, okay? So always remember that, man. For new drivers out there, if you're struggling with the landing gear, if you feel like it's stuck, it's not stuck. You just have to put it in low. Sometimes in rare cases, it actually is something wrong with the handle and you may need to get roadside service, but in most cases, you just have to put the landing gear in low gear. Okay, also, I forgot to point this out. Sometimes if you're hauling, if your load is very, very, very heavy, it's gonna be really hard to crank the landing gear, okay? If you end up in a situation where you're hauling something that's really heavy and the load it weighs a lot, and you end up not being able to crank the handle, that's another time you want to go into low gear, guys. You go into low gear and you crank it to the left, or you crank it to whatever direction you need to crank it to until you know it loosens up and it becomes a little bit easier to turn. Once it becomes easier to turn, you know, you put it in high gear and then you can, you know, proceed. But you got to start off in low gear. Whenever it's too hard to turn, you got to start off in low gear, turn it, and then it's kind of like a trial and error. Okay, you got to just keep testing it out. Start in low gear, turn it. All right, once you turn it a little bit, go back in high gear. Try to see if you can turn it in high gear now. If you still can't turn it in high gear, you go back to low gear. Go back to low gear and just keep turning, keep turning, keep turning. After a couple, you know, turns, then you stop and then you go back into high gear and try it again. And eventually you'll be able to turn it. That's how you do that. Okay? So whenever you find yourself in that situation, that's what you do. Okay? It's not stuck or anything like that. It's just you got to go into the right gear. Okay, guys? I might give you guys another angle, a better angle of it, because I feel like I could have gotten a better angle. You'll feel the difference. Low gear, like I said, when you go into it, it's a lot easier to turn the steering wheel. Not the steering wheel, the landing gear. It's a lot easier to turn it in low gear, and it's a lot faster. But the thing is, when you're turning the landing gear in low gear, it takes you way longer. It takes way longer for the landing gear to either go up or go down, depending on what you're trying to do. That's why it's called low gear, because it's slower. It takes way longer for the trailer or the landing gear to react. High gear is called high gear because it's way faster. It doesn't take as many cranks. You can also hear the difference between low gear and high gear. All right, guys, so it might be a little angled. I apologize for that, but I wanted to try to give you guys a better angle. It just, I don't know if you have to tilt your phone, but I'm gonna show you guys the difference between high gear and low gear. I want you guys to pay attention to when I go into low gear, how fast the handle is moving and how little the landing gear leg is moving, okay? So this is low gear. All right? No, that's high. This is low. Now you guys see how fast the handle is going? Now the landing gear, you guys can't see that it's moving, but it's actually moving. Moving very, very slow. Very slow. Now, when I go into high gear, you guys are gonna see how much the landing gear leg moves. And you guys are gonna see that the landing gear handle doesn't move as much, like it's not as fast. So this is high. See? You guys see that? All right. Okay. So, yeah, guys. Hope this video helped you out. And yeah, as long as this video helped one new driver, I did my job. I really did. Even if you're not a new driver, you know, leave a like, you know. Maybe you can show this to a new driver and spread it around. I don't know, but you know, I felt like I had to make a video about this because there's not many videos talking about the landing gear. And there's not enough people talking about it and teaching it to new drivers. Like when I went to CDL school, nobody told me that. You know, I had to learn that on the hard way. I had to learn that once the very first time when I got my fifth wheel stuck behind the kingpin, that was the very first time that another driver told me that the landing gear had 2 gears. I had no idea. And by that point, I was like maybe half a year in, and I still had no idea. So, like I said, hope you guys enjoyed the video. I hope this helped at least one driver. And, you know, I'm here to help, you know, make content, entertain, motivate, inspire. That's what I'm making these videos to do, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I'll catch you on the next one. The vlogs are coming, guys. Don't worry, the vlogs are definitely coming. I'm sorry I haven't been posting them, but yeah, next video is definitely gonna be a vlog, so stay tuned. All right, I'll catch you guys then. Peace out.